Hello, this is Isaac Taylor, and this is my engagement table assignment. So the first activity and lesson that I thought about doing was um, students learning about physical activity and how it affects their overall health. This standard would go directly to evaluate the effectiveness of health-related decisions. The way that they would learn it is that the students will listen to me, the teacher, talk about the information from the chapter in the book about physical activity. We will then spend the next day doing a lab where the students will have different stations that they will participate in to see what happens when they make a choice on the different behaviors that they exhibit. The students will be following the instructions from the teacher, and they will be making sure that they are reflecting on what happened. That would be an IPI level 5 and 6. The reason why I chose to do a lab as well as a lesson is that the first thing you think about when health would be diet and exercise, which has a huge amount of importance, but that's not the only thing when it comes to health class. But we'll spend the day talking about health-related activities and how they affect your health, both positively and some could be negatively, depending on the choices that you make. We'll spend the day talking about how to find your max heart rate, your target zone, that 50 to 70%, how to calculate that. And then the lab would be the different stations would be different types of exercise that you would do, whether you're trying to be an athlete, trying to be physically fit, or just be getting that 30 minutes in a day, whether that be walking, jogging, bicycling, or whatever. So I'll have them do that, and then I'll have them be taking their heart rate before, during, and after the activity to see if they're at that target heart rate zone that we calculated. But then the students will fill out a lab worksheet, and then they will be expected to fill out each reflection for each station and what happened to their body, how did that affect their overall health. The students will turn in the lab worksheet, and I will be able to measure the learned behaviors based on their reflections, as well as SPED students will be assisted by the para in the class. That way their group and the para will work together to help the SPED student in any way that he or she needs. The lab will really just be able to see if they're able to retain the knowledge of how to get to their target heart rate, as well as see if they're correlating the similarity between their heart rate and the physical activity and their health. I chose the self as a stimulus for engagement from Marzano because the students will evaluate their own self for what healthy behaviors they want to have. This will then in turn help them be able to make sure that they are understanding health and the behaviors that they make on a daily basis. For the next one, I chose risk factors that affect the student's health. These will be behavioral, environmental, and genetic risk factors. There's a couple standards that links directly to research how genetics and family history can affect personal health, predict how healthy behaviors can affect health status. And so what they'll do is we'll start the day off with a YouTube video where the students will watch the video and be able to see what the 3 different types of risk factors are. There's plenty of them out there that you can watch. They're all really informational, not too long, about 10 minutes each. I'll then have them fill out the health and wellness IQ that's at the beginning of each chapter. It tells me what they know before we start the chapter and lets me then, after I'm done teaching, see if they learned anything. Like I just said, it'll give me a baseline of data that they will know about risk factors. The students will then read the chapter and they will be able to answer different questions in the book, talking and breaking down the different risk factors. That'd be an IPI level 2 and 3. Kind of just taking in the information, seeing what they remember from me talking, reading, and listening. The students will then fill out, like I said, the health and wellness IQ at the beginning of the class. They'll go through the class, learn about the different types of risk factors. After the class, we'll go for a walk outside, where they'll be on the lookout for the different risk factors that we talked about in the class. When they get back, they'll write a reflection about what they saw, why they were risk factors, and how they can choose different choices to make those risk factors either be not as high or maybe increase those risk factors. I chose from the book Engage Students in Problem-Solving Tasks that require them to generate and test hypotheses from Marzano, because the students will critically think about their own environments in life and the risk factors that they have. They will then try and eliminate the different risk factors to achieve better overall health, which is really the goal for this class. The next one we're going to talk about is nutrition and health. And then the standard would be formulate an effective long-term personal health plan. The students will go over the information about nutrition and the different types of categories that go into nutrition. The students will then be asked to take notes and recall what they learned with a weekly assignment. That would be IPI level 5 and 6, trying to get them to critically think. The students will be asked to fill out a weekly food log, where they'll fill out what they ate in a day and the number of calories that they consumed at the end of the week. They'll be asked to make a reflection about what they ate and if it was healthy or unhealthy. This would be piggybacking off of the physical fitness, talking about that calorie deficit. The more you take in, the more you have to burn, and you obviously want to burn more than you take in. That helps eliminate that fat that you have on your body. I used the self as a stimulus for engagement again. With health, you could pretty much pick that, the self as a stimulus for engagement for every single one, because the goal that me and my clinical educator talked about is trying to make health class as personal as possible, because the only way that they're going to actually understand and want to implement the information that we're giving them is if they can apply it directly to their own lives. The students will be able to explore what they are putting in their bodies for a week, and hopefully they will be able to see the results of what the foods that they are putting in their bodies do to their health, and the risk factors that we just previously talked about. The next one would be sleep and health. That would be assess personal health practices and overall health status for the standards. The day will start with a YouTube video about a guided meditation and why that is important for the body. We try to do some sort of mindfulness every single day, whether that be guided meditation, getting in the zone, talking about how to study better, anything like that. Then they will be introduced to what sleep is by a lecture and a class discussion by the teacher. The students will be asked to fill out the Health and Wellness IQ again for Chapter 7, which is the chapter about sleep. IPIA level 5 and 6. I'll have the students fill out a weekly log for the amount of sleep that they have gotten. They will be asked to say what time they went to bed, put their phone away for the night, woke up, and if they woke up in the middle of the night for anything. After the week, they will be asked to write a reflection about their sleeping habits. I put missing information as a stimulus for engagement. When I did a pre-assessment at the beginning of the semester, most of them said that they knew little to nothing about sleep, and that's what they were most interested in. So they're missing all that information, so I'll give it to them, and then I'll have them even explore further using their own sleep as their own information that they're getting. The last one that I would choose to do is be the effects of alcohol on the body and health. This would be evaluate the effectiveness of health-related decisions, articulate on how some health risk behaviors can influence the likelihood of engaging in unhealthy behaviors. The students will be led through an in-class pear deck presentation by the teacher. They'll first start the day with the question, what are the long-term effects of alcohol on the body? This would be an IPI level 2 and 3. The students throughout the class will answer the question of the day. Then they will be in a presentation of the pear deck made by the instructor, me. After the presentation, the students will be asked the same question, and what are the long-term effects of alcohol on the body? And they'll put their response, and then that will be what I gauge if they learned the lesson or not. The SPED students will be assisted by the para and the clinical educator. It's nice to have the clinical educator kind of be that help for the students that might not be understanding it. The more teachers, the more one-on-one instruction you can have with the para, the teacher, and the student teacher, the better it's going to be. I chose the mild pressure as a stimulus for engagement from Marzano. The reason why I chose this is because the students will be asked to be able to think and talk about an activity that they participate in on a daily basis. A lot of them I know drink just based off of what they say. This is a lesson activity that will get the students to think and be able to see what kind of influences they are having on their body for the long-term effects. Trying to say something short-term is the best way, but if we can talk about long-term a little bit as well, then we'll go there. So yeah, this is my engagement table assignment. I have done 3 of these already, and 2 of them I'm going to do here shortly. That would be the sleep and nutrition. So I have been able to reflect and see how well the students have been doing, and they seem to like the more hands-on activities, which is why I'm trying to make it as personal as possible. Thank you.